This segment of Deer Gear is brought to you by Smith and Wesson. Hunting with handguns has gotten more and more popular over the last couple years. Deer Gear's own Kevin Giesecke recently took a great 9-point buck with a Smith and Wesson hunting handgun. Now, he's at the target range, getting some extra tips from Smith and Wesson's Paul Pluff, who has a simple secret that guarantees faster and more accurate sighting every time.
Kevin, you know what I want to do with you today? I want to give you some tips on handgunning and how to acquire your sights much quicker, and how it also will apply to hunting, and a few tips to give you a better, steadier shot, which makes a big difference when you're using a handgun. A handgun, you got a shorter barrel. Because of that shorter barrel, it's less forgiving on movement. So we want to get, you want to get a good sight acquisition as quick as possible and as steady of a platform as you possibly get. That's some of the things I want to show you today.
Great. I've been practicing, but I got a lot to learn.
And practicing is key, and we talked about that earlier in the show. Practicing is key to success on handgun hunting, and I recommend that if you plan on doing it, practice, practice, practice. But here's a few tips that could take even a good shooter and give them some advantages and actually make them a better shooter. First thing we want to talk about is sight acquisition, and we're all guilty of it, especially with a handgun. You kind of get out there, and you're looking at that target, and you kind of come up here, and you start doing the bobbly head type of thing, trying to find that location of the crosshairs. In this case, It's a red dot, and I want to show you right quick with the red dot. So what I want to show you is a technique so that you can actually be staring at the target, staring at that where you want that point of impact to be, and come up and have, whether it's a red dot or crosshairs on a hunting scope, and have it come up and line up perfectly right there without having to search for it. It's pretty simplistic. First of all, you're going to get your good grip like we've always talked about, okay? And the next thing you're going to do is, instead of taking that gun and either coming up from the top down or from the bottom up, you're going to push it out from your chest. And the reason why you're going to do that is you don't want to bring your view of vision on the target down into the scope. You want to bring the scope up into your view of vision. So basically what you want to do, instead of bringing that gun up or down and then trying to find that view, you want to stare at that target, okay? In this case here, we got a deer target out there, and we got that center spot on that deer target. That's my impact point, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stare at that target, I'm going to get my grip, and I'm going to keep my vision on that target. I'm going to bring the gun up into my chest, and then I'm just going to push out right from there, okay? And I instantly pick up that red dot, and guess where that red dot is on this gun? It's right on that center of that target. And it happens that quick, okay? At that point in time, I'm ready to squeeze off around and put it right where I want it to. Okay?
Amazing. Okay.
What I'd like you to do is try it here. Let me load up a magazine, because it's not the same unless you're taking a couple shots. We want to make sure that we're not faking it here.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, am I expected to hit that thing on this shot?
I got all the confidence in the world with you.
I'm going to come up here. Pow. Dead on.
Perfect shots.
That is awesome.
You were right on that target, and see how quickly it happened?
Yeah, and it's just right there.
Right there, and it was a perfect shot. You just found it, and it was just there.
Huh. So now that's, obviously this applies to any handgun.
Any handgun, and actually, it becomes even more critical when you're talking about handgun hunting. And I love handgun hunting, and you get to experience it this year when you went on your handgun hunt. And what I want to show you, it becomes even more apparent when you're using a scope with crosshairs. Okay? This is a red dot. We started off with that because it picks it up. You don't have a lot of things to think about, but it's just right there.
Right.
But now you have the basics. So we're going to move up to that big 460 of yours, and we're going to try with that. I'm going to show you how big of a difference that makes.
All right, let's do it.
What I just taught you here about that push out and bringing that scope into your line of vision becomes even more important with a hunting handgun with a scope on it, because you want to get a good, clear, full view of field in that scope with that crosshairs dead center.
And that's one of the biggest problems I have, is when I bring that gun up, is trying to get a full field of view in my scope.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think about it, especially when you're hunting. What happens if you don't have that full range of view in there? What happens? People come up and they see that crosshair and they put it on the animal and they squeeze off and they think they're getting a good shot and they miss. And the reason why they miss is because that's happening so quick. What they're failing to see is they don't have that scope in a perfect alignment, and you get what I like to call those gross rings, or black edges around the scope. And anytime you have those black edges, that scope is not perfectly straight. It's either left, right, up, or down, okay? And we're so focused on trying to get that crosshair that we fail to see that we have the barrel perfectly lined up. And that little technique I showed you, as you come up, what you're doing is that, now you're coming up and you're bringing your vision into the scope, you bring that scope into your vision, and it's going to actually be perfectly aligned. When you come up and you see those crosshairs, because you're staring at that and you're bringing it in, you know you're going to be lined up.
Now coming on to shooting sticks, I'm assuming I want to have this basically the height that I want it generally.
Absolutely. And one of the things I always preach, if you're going to hunt with a handgun, practice, practice, practice.
And practice.
And you want to practice on the sticks. I see too many guys out there that go out there and they'll sight their gun in on a bench rest,
right,
and they'll go out in the field. Shooting off a bench rest and shooting off sticks or offhand are miles apart.
Sure.
So once you sight your gun in and you're comfortable that it's that it's sighted in, practice, take some shots off the stick. It becomes important. So that's where practice comes in. So you know instantly when you're out in the field and you throw those sticks out where you want to be.
So my height is good, and I'm looking like right here.
So now you're going to come up.
Okay, so I'm going to come up. I'm looking at my target.
Find it. Now you're just dropping that down.
And I'm right in it, right there.
Okay, and you see now that you're in that chin. See how much more steady that gun feels in there.
Big time.
Okay, and you're not getting as much movement.
Big time.
Now you know what it looks like. Now I want you to experience what the shot is, and because what this does is it builds confidence in your shot.
Okay.
And the guys that are real good shooters and real good hunters that don't miss a shot, it's because they're confident in their shot.
They know where that bullet's going.
They know where the bullet's going. And now that you know that you're going to come up there and you're staring at that point that you want to hit, and you're bringing everything in there, and it's instantly right there,
right,
you can feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in your shot. And that's going to make all the difference in the world for you.
And then practice.
Practice, practice.
Full field of view.
Now you're going to keep those crosshairs exactly on there as you're pulling through.
Okay.
So focus on your crosshairs now as you're doing your trigger pull.
Boy, that double action's a big difference.
It is, but one of the things I noticed though, you were keeping that, you didn't slap at the trigger, you were keeping your crosshairs on the target.
Yeah.
And you pretty much hit exactly where you want it to.
Let's try one more time.
Go ahead, give it a whirl.
All right.
Come up from your chest and out.
Come up. Full field of view right there.
Good shot.
Very cool.
Does that make a big difference?
It makes a big difference.
Now think about how much quicker you were on the target and able to start to pull that trigger versus when you just come up and trying to find the target in the scope.
Yeah, and I think part of it is getting familiar with the gun. I mean,
absolutely,
it's a big critter.
It's a big critter.
It's just getting used to it, but it handles easy. And
but didn't you feel a little bit more confident in your shot versus coming up?
Very much more.
And confidence is the key to a successful hunt.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
All right,
Thank
my friend.
you, sir.
You're welcome.